Hi, I'm Kenda Ruth and welcome to the Hero Spouse. And today I'm going to answer two questions. Really, it's two people asking basically parts of the same question. So I thought I'd package them together for you. And what we have is we have one anonymous female MLCer and we have Charlie. Charlie's bomb drop is September of 2016 and our anonymous MLCer is February of 2019. And Charlie's contact type, his wife's contact type is a vanisher, which means very little to no contact at all. And he has a high energy replayer. Our anonymous contactor, that's a boomerang and a high energy replayer. So Charlie says, can you explain the difference between a midlife crisis versus an exit affair? Would there be a way to decipher which of these is actually happening before the spouse is in the affair actually leaves the marital home? So basically, rather than telling us about the situation, he just wants that particular question answered. The next one tells us the situation and then requests which one is it. And she says, my husband left home in 2018 of August. Now she says the bomb drop was 2019, so I would probably put that back at 2018 unless it was away from home due to work. She said, I didn't know when he was coming back. We were in contact daily. He started an affair beginning of February 2019, and that's when he did the bomb drop. The affair lasted about 4 months, and he came home in August of 2019, around the time that the alienator moved back to her home country. On the way home, he told me he didn't want the marriage, but he was coming back for the kids, and that his affair was an exit affair. He did it to get out of the marriage. He's had typical monstering, hiding the phone, deflecting, blaming, porn, and secretly talking to another woman once he was home, mixed in with we talk or relationship talk. I kicked him out February of 2021. Now he's across the country in the same city where he had the affair, and he's bragging about how he abandoned his wife so that he can have a stress-free life and how happy he is. I've heard this from a mutual friend. So my question, is this really a midlife crisis, or was it an exit affair as he stated? We're pretty much no contact by my choice. Right now, given the way he is, I think that's a good choice. We have very little smart contact as it concerns our minor daughter. So what I'm going to do is in the comments or in the description of this video, I will post a link to my article about an exit affair versus a midlife crisis affair so that you can go through that, and I'm going to go through it a little bit here with you in this video. And just as a quick question, is this an exit affair with Anonymous or not? I'm going to go with not right now, given his behavior. First thing, the biggest behavior is he came home. Yeah, he gave excuses for coming home, and he wasn't ready to come home and be a part of a relationship. But that's midlife crisis right there. It shows boomerang, even clinging boomerang behaviors, because he came home after the affair ended. And that says so much more. An exit affair, and yet he didn't exit. He said, oh, I tried, I failed. But once he came home, he displayed typical midlife crisis, high energy, trying to escape behaviors. And he's still doing that. He's bragging. He's showing a lot of bravado, narcissism, how I abandoned my wife, because that really makes you so cool, doesn't it? So I am going to flip over to my article and go over it a little bit with you here. Sorry, I can't share screen, but I will be giving you the link. So this is an article I believe I wrote in 2017. And I'm just going to highlight some of the bullet points, and then I'll let you go read this article. In general, an exit affair serves as an excuse to end the marriage, hence the name exit affair. The affair gets blamed for the marital breakdown, or at least for breaking the camel's back. It was just too much. So the bullet points are, and these will be further described in the article, they're intended for discovery. There's an avoidance. So in other words, the betraying partner avoids the issues that caused the marital breakdown, so it can be blamed on this affair. They're bad at endings, and they want you to end it. So if I have an affair, she'll kick me out and she'll file for divorce. And it's oftentimes a more firmer ending. So it lacks the back and forths that you might see in a midlife crisis. Now, for those of you who have a vanisher or a distant contactor that is more of an off and on, you might say, oh, well, I haven't had those back and forth. If you recall, this one wasn't a distant contactor, but he came back and forth a little. It was a boomerang. So just because yours doesn't have the back and forth doesn't make it an exit affair if there are no back and forths. There's a difference between contact types as well. So exit affair betrayers versus MLC betrayers. What are the differences? Common MLC behaviors is what we're going to look at for this. Is there's cake eating. An exit affair may not have that same cake eating because they want it over. Again, we had that avoidance, but this is a different avoidance, is what I say in this. Exit affair betrayers avoid the issues that cause the problems, and MLCers do that, but they're really avoiding their inner demons. It's an avoidance of self. It's an avoidance of the mirror. So one avoids the issues. The other one avoids the issues and inner development, self-reflection. They lack insight. So the other one could lack insight, but it's a whole bigger level with a midlife crisis. Common MLC behaviors are control. They're trying to regain that sense of control. They're calling the shots now. They've lived a life of accommodation, perhaps. And then I do give characteristics of control, such as criticism, threats or promises, conditional love, which is deeper than threats or promises because it penetrates thoughts and beliefs. I'm reading from it. It's not merely about doing what the person wants. They also make it a requirement that you feel, think, and believe as they want. There's no room for disagreement. Control, characteristics of control continuing, stimulates guilt, shame, fear of anxiety. It's your fault because. And the asking of questions might set off monster. So you need to learn how to ask questions if that's the case, or avoid those. And there are gray areas. In the end, I go back with, does it really matter? And it could. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. If you want to stand for your marriage, the way you do that is you work on you anyway. You're not about correcting and fixing the marriage when there's a midlife crisis. When one person is going out, leaning out, vilifying you, you're not going to fix the marriage now. You're going to fix you. And I'm sorry if you didn't need fixing, but then you got hurt. I didn't need a cast before I had my leg broken either. But then I did. I went stair surfing and suddenly I needed a cast. So one moment you're fixed or you don't need fixing, and the next moment, betrayal. And you do. You need healing. So you're going to stand for your marriage by focusing on you. So does it really matter in that sense? Your MLC spouse or your exit affair spouse can still look back. They are still allowed to change their minds someday. But the key word is someday. It's not going to happen now. And with an exit affair, it is not a limerent affair. They're using that other person as a vehicle to get out of the marriage. That doesn't mean it won't become that, or it hasn't become that. And it doesn't mean an affair. It doesn't tip it into a midlife crisis. So you can have something that is an exit affair and they intended to get out of the marriage, but they became limerent with that other person. Then they started to vilify you. Then they started to question themselves. What am I doing? All of these different things. An exit affair could also just start to question themselves when they see the damage that they're doing to the rest of their family, their children. So your job, regardless, is just to work on yourself. And you have contact, smart contact with that person. You target your contact for a neutral contact, things that aren't about pressure, and showing your changes. Without saying, I've changed. It's showing, not telling. If you have any more questions about exit affair, just let me know. But check out the article because that might help you to understand them better. And I will see you in the